Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm on for my second tutorial featuring the goodies that I got from Globleland this time around. So last time we used a stamp set and we made all of the labels. And they turned out really cool. So that leaves us this time to use the big Super Dant wooden cutting die, which is this one. It's like a travel label holder. And we also have this furnace, wax melting furnace, and a seal with the letter N that we have to play with. So I'm going to start by using the die first. So of course the link to Globleland is down below, as is the link to the individual products that I have been using for my tutorials. There is also my coupon code, which is NAT10. So if you put that in on checkout, you can receive 10% off of your order with Globleland, which is very nice of them. So we will get started with our cutting die, and I'll use my Big Shot. Now what I'm thinking of trying with this firstly is I recently got given a pile of this, which I think is vinyl. I don't think it's pleather, but it's, yeah, I think it's vinyl in rolls, and it is awesome, and I thought this would be so nice to make some journal covers with. A lovely Carolyn gave me these. Thank you, Carolyn. And yeah, I thought I might as well get using them and have some fun. But I think these will be great to cut with my big die here. So we will give that a go and see how it turns out. So the regular size plates are probably just a tad small for the big die. And I have some longer plates there. You can get them quite cheap if you look online. So I'll be using those. I'm just cutting my pleather down a bit so it will fit through my Big Shot. Set up my Big Shot, and what I'm doing is I've taken all the plates off and I'm just using one of my clear plates there, putting my die on top of that, and then I just need to cut the side of the pleather down so it fits through. Then I decide that I might as well cut some of my wallpaper at the same time. Then I'll get two with one pass through. So it's just a clear plate, the die, wallpaper, the pleather, and then the other clear plate to put this through the Big Shot. So all the bits cut quite nicely. With material, oftentimes you will get one or two threads that sort of hang on, so I just use my sharp little scissors to cut off those threads. Get that little bit from your window as well, which I'm going to keep those and use them for some labels and that in the future. And there are the pieces that I cut out of the wallpaper. So I've grabbed a scrap bit of the pleather and I want to cut another one of the strips from the die there, so I'm just putting that on like I did before and running it through. So that means I've got two straps. I'm measuring the window piece because I do want to cut some transparency to put in there. Initially I put transparency in them, but in the end I actually used some acetate in the pleather window. It's just a little thicker and I thought it would be better for the front of my journal. So I'm just cutting my transparency down to the right size to fit into the window with a bit of overhang for me to apply the glue to. So you can see here I'm just putting my glue around the edges of the window and sticking my acetate down to that. And I repeat that process with my wallpaper. So I have made a cover with the pleather for a journal here, and I'm using one of the straps that I cut to do the closure with. I have just sewn on the buckle piece there onto one end, just folded it through and then run over it with a couple of lines of sewing. Just figuring out where I want to place it and putting a little mark there because I will sew that to the cover as well. So for the cover, I just used some pleather and then stuck down some cotton material on the inside. I used some spray adhesive for that, and then I just sewed around the edges. So I'm using another bit of the strap here for the other part of the closure. Just figuring out the sort of length I want it. I know once I add a whole lot of pages that I'll need a bit extra length to be able to close it off with. So when I figure out where I want it placed, I'm just adding a little bit of glue just to tack it in place. And I will go and sew them both on afterwards. So now we're back to the luggage label there. Now I have sewn around the acetate window there, and I also sewed just on one side of the label holder because I'm going to leave that side open, but I want it to look like it's stitched shut. So now I am just tacking together the two pieces, and then I will go and sew the other three edges, leaving the one that we've already sewed open. That way I can slip something in there when I want to and change it out if I need to. So I've done all the sewing now. I've sewn both of my straps on, and I've sewn around the rest of my little label holder there. Now we need something to put in there, and I've got an old business card, so I'm just cutting it down a little bit because I think that will fit quite nicely in there, and it's also good to recycle the business cards. So I'm covering that on both sides with this cream coloured book page. I think the colour will go nice since we've got the cream coloured material on the inside of the cover. I just cut it out after I've stuck the one side down, and then I will stick the other side of the book page on and cut that down as well. So now I want to stamp the word journal. I'm just doing a practice stamp first on a bit of the book page of the scrap, and it's stamped out really nicely, so now I can put it in the centre of my little journal card there. I am cutting out my practice one, and I'm going to use that as a mask for some further stamping. So I'm using a little bit of washi tape that I fold over just to stick my mask on top of my business card there. And then I can stamp over the top of that without getting it over the word. Then I grabbed the awesome stamp set that I got from Globleland. Now I'm just using some red and blue and brown and my black inks here just to stamp some various stamps on there. Great all-round stamp set, this one. Has lots of little bits and pieces. then I can remove the mask that we stuck on. So I'm using the other strap that I cut out of the pleather to add to the top of our luggage label holder. Figure out how long I want, because I want to attach it to my cover. So I'll tack that down to hold it, and then I will go and stitch the pieces together there, just to make it a bit more secure. So now I've moved on to doing my wax seal stamping. Just lighting my 2 tea candles, and I'm using the wax furnace and spoon kit that I grabbed from Globleland. I also previously had a kit that looks exactly the same, so it's great to have a couple of furnaces now because I can get to lots of wax melting at the same time. So I thought I might as well use some colours that I think will go with my journal and make a wax seal that can go on my cover. That's why I've got the red there, and then I thought I'd grab some silver as well because we have a silver buckle and we'll be using a silver eyelet on the cover. So I just stamped one of my letter seals out in the red, and then I'm going around and just cutting off the extra bit that oozes out the side so that we've just got the circle of the seal there. I'm pouring my silver wax, then I'm inlaying that red seal into the silver wax. I'll go ahead and do a couple more seals in the silver and the red as well. So now I am cutting out the letter N from one of the red seals. And I've stuck that back into the seal stamp. And I'm just melting some silver wax that I want to put it in. Then again, I'm cutting the excess that oozed out around from the edges. Putting that back into the seal stamp, and then I'll inlay that into some of the red wax. So now I want to attach the luggage label to the front of my journal cover. So I am just putting a little dot where the middle is so that I can see that when I punch the hole, so I can get it centered nicely. Again, because it's sort of the material, a couple of bits of thread don't cut, so I use my scissors to do that. Figure out where I want to attach it to the cover, and then I'll punch another hole there. And I decided to use an eyelet to attach the label holder to the cover. And I decide which wax seal that I'd like to put on the cover, and I was going to put it on the front, but I decided it looks better on the back, so just using my glue to stick that down. Now I've got an awesome cover ready to fill up with some pages. So with my other wax seals that I made, I thought I would try my gold and my silver gel pen to colour those in. So I'm using my silver gel pen here. So you don't have to do the inlays, you can just colour in the letter or any other details with pens. And I'm using the gold gel pen on the silver seal. Then the last thing we need to do is put together our wallpaper label holder. So I'm doing it the same as the pleather one, I'm just not doing any sewing. So I'm just sticking down the 3 sides so it's open on the one side to put a little journal card in. And I'm going to use my strap that I cut out as the tab. Just want to cut that down. Because one end is circular, I cut around that to make both edges there circular. And just stick them together so they hold. Now I have a botanical picture out of a book here. I'm just sticking that to some old book page. And that's going to be a very simple journal card. I think it will look nice showing through the window. So just cut it down a bit so I can slip it in nicely. And I'll just ink around the edges. So I've finished my projects for this time around for Globleland. So I ended up using the Superdant die. Now it is a travel label die. That was loads of fun. You can see a number of uses for that. I also revisited the stamps that I used in my first video for this time around. Heaps and heaps of fun. And I used my new wax furnace, and you would have seen I now have 2 of them, which is great if I want to melt different coloured waxes at the same time. And the furnace come with another spoon, which I haven't cleaned out. Apologies for that. I will get to that sometime. But yes, these are very economical furnaces and they work really, really well. I like these. So you just put your tea candle underneath them. And I also had a go with my new wax seal stamp head with the letter N on it for my name, Natalie, of course. This one didn't come with a handle. Some of the stamps that you get have handles and some of them don't, but you can interchange the handles with all the different stamp heads anyway, and I have about 10 handles now, which sounds excessive, but if you're doing a lot of seals and with the different heads and that, it's handy to have a number of different handles as well. So I just used one of the handles that I already have for that. So we will have a look at what we made. So I used the big die here to cut out some of the pieces to use for these labels. Absolutely love them. I thought they'd be heaps of fun to use on some journal covers. Now my friend Carolyn from Lacey Creations had just gifted me a pile of pleather. And I really liked the colour of this one, and I decided I'd have a go at making a journal cover with it. And I thought it'd be great to use the luggage label holder just to put whatever you like as a label on the front of your journal in. So that is what I did. I cut out a piece of pleather and I lined it with some cotton material and then just sewed around it. Now the sewing's not very neat. It's the first time I've tried sewing with the pleather, and it took a bit of patience to begin with. Once it got started it was all right. I think it was because it's quite sort of fuzzy on the underside. So yeah, I just need a bit more practice with that, but I loved the way that turned out. And then I used the strap, which was cut out of the pleather, this strap. I used that to make my closure with a buckle there and sewed that onto the cover. And then the other end of it here so that I can close off my journal once I've put some pages in there. So it just does up like a regular buckle would. I had the buckle in my stash as well. I picked them up from the second-hand shop when I can. That's how it closes. And then of course I used my luggage label, and when I put it together I left this side open so that I can take out my little plate there, and I can journal on the back if I want, or I can change it and put something else in the window if I want to, so that's really handy. Now I used the stamp set that you see there just to do some random stamping around my journal label there. And so that just fits in like that. And I just covered an old business card for that, just to recycle the business card, and that worked really well. And I love the way this has turned out. And then I cut out 2 of the strap pieces with the die, and I used a part there just to hold on to the label. That's what they're meant to be used for. And I used an eyelet just to attach that to my cover as well. So it just dangles there, sort of. So that was great fun. And what else I did was I used my N wax seal stamp and my furnace and spoon, and I created some seals, and I wanted to make one that I thought would go nice on this cover. I was going to put it on the front, but I thought it looked better on the back there, so that's the one that I decided to put on. So I inlaid the N. It's not as smooth. It does come out nice and smooth, the N. The wax that I used for that is a bit different. All the waxes are just a little bit different, and it doesn't come out very smooth, that wax. But that is all right. So I inlaid that into the silver wax of the same seal. And then I inlaid that into some more of the red wax just to try something a bit different. And I love the way that's turned out. I think it looks really neat on the journal cover. So looking forward to filling that up with some pages in the future. Great way to use that Pleather. Absolutely love that die too. Being the big die, I can cut various materials with it, and I can cut multiple pieces of paper or cardstock at the same time. And I think these will be great and interesting additions to my journals that I can use in various ways. So another thing I did with the die is when I cut out the Pleather, I also cut out a layer of my wallpaper as well. I think Carolyn gave me this wallpaper. So, and I've just used that with the strap up the top. So this is just the tab. And then I've stuck it together on the 3 sides again and left this side open so I could slip something in. And then I have made a little journaling card just with a picture out of a book, and I've backed it onto some old book page. It's a bit of a tight fit, but it does fit in there. And again, you can journal on the back of this, so it's like a hidden journaling spot. Now, if I get it in straight, I might be able to get it all the way in. There we go. And I think that looks really pretty. And of course that can be slipped into a pocket in your journal or clipped to the page or whatever. And I think it looks really pretty. Another fun way to use your wallpaper. So I absolutely love that. That's the Super Dant Luggage Label die. Okay, and then last of all, I did do a couple extra wax seals. And with these ones, I decided just to try colouring in the end, especially with the gel pens that I have recently grabbed with wax seals. So the nice and juicy gel pens. And these turned out really cool too. So this one I used the red wax for the seal that I got, then coloured in the end with the gel pen. And then I inlaid that seal into some of the silver wax as well. And I really like the way that has come up. Really nice. And then for this one, it's just the seal stamp in the silver wax, and then I coloured the N and the circle around it in gold gel pen. So I really love how they all turned out. So much fun using that die, figuring out what I'd like to do with the bits that I cut out. It's great fun using the Pleather. I think that's going to be an awesome little journal. I'll make that up for myself. So much fun. So massive thank you to Globleland for the awesome products. I always have so much fun using them, and they always work really, really well. So the link to Globleland is below, as is the links to the individual products that I've shown this time around, in case you want to go straight to one of those. There is also my coupon code, which is NAT10. If you use that on checkout, you can get 10% off of your orders with Globleland. I'll also link below my unboxing for this lot and my first tutorial video in case you want to see what I made. I used the stamps for my first one, and I made some labels, which was heaps of fun. So thanks for watching, guys. Do take care of yourselves, and I will see you again soon. Bye.